Healthy Lonzo Ball, or do you think what we saw at the tail end is more of who they are, and they're still probably a 5 through 8 to 9 seed in the East next year?
God, I mean, is it weird if I say yes to both? I mean, I think that you have plenty of reasons to believe in them. I think them finishing 5 to 8 says more about the state of the East and some of those potential top 1 through 4 seeds. But I do really like their roster. I think they've got a lot of really solid players. And even though Lonzo Ball is a big part of it and Alex Caruso staying healthy is a part of it, having Ayo, Dalen Terry, Kobe White, like Goran, like you have a really solid, deep roster, and it's very intriguing. But I will say a little, and this might be a little bit of a curveball here, but I do think that it's not as rainbows and butterflies over in Chicago as some people might think it is. And I hope.
So why do you think that is?
I don't think everybody's on the same page and as happy with each other as it seems.
Oh, is this a off-air chat?
It might need to be an off-air chat.
Okay, interesting. Corban, what do you think? Do you share Lauren's pessimism on Chicago next year?
I'm ready for the off-air chat, but no.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, let me say this. I do think they have a lot of pieces together. Zach LaVine is Zach LaVine. I think that, and Jamal, I mean, they have plenty of pieces in place to be a really solid team in the East. I think as little as the next 6 months, if the start of the season doesn't go well, to maybe 3 years absolute max, it's done.
Well, I mean, think about this, and we have to throw this in here. When you think about the Bulls and where they were at last year, this could be a fun exercise. Celtics, playoff team, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sixers, playoff team.
Yes.
Absolutely.
The Raptors, playoff team.
Yes.
Yeah. Cavs, playoff team.
I think so.
Barring health, yes.
The Bucks.
Yes.
Sure.
The Heat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Hawks.
Sorry, Chase.
Hold on. I will drop you from this call.
I'm kidding.
I don't know if you saw that DeJounte Murray has that dog in him. Paolo Banchero figured out.
I do not like DeJounte Murray fell so far. I went from not caring about the guy to actively disliking him. Like
because
the
of
way
the
he's been
Paolo.
treating some of these guys. I mean, Paolo was weird, but even just the run-of-the-mill guys up the street knocking the ball off. I mean, he's been very aggressive for reasons I can't explain. Like, dude, I mean, you were an injury replacement all-star. I'm not trying to say it's a bad thing. Also, it's a great thing. But
I'm sending that clip to DeJounte and Hawks PR right now. I need that in his earbuds every day.
All I'm trying to say is, like, he's going off like I don't know. It feels like this is weird energy from this guy. Like, yeah,
he's never played on a good team before. He's playing with a top 5, top 10 player next year.
Well, you're right. He's never played on a good team before. 2017 Spurs. You remember that?
No, they were not good. That was not a good basketball team.
I mean, they had that was Kawhi's last great year. But the point I'm trying to get is,
was DeJounte on that team?
Yeah, he was. He was drafted 2016.
But did he play on that team? He wasn't playing.
I think I'm gonna look it up now. Now you put me on the spot. You know,
I don't recall them crossing over at all. I have no DeJounte Murray memory of Kawhi.
61 and 21. They lost in Western Conference Finals against the Warriors. DeJounte Murray was on the team. How many games did he play? 38 games, 8 started.
Okay.
So, there.
I thought he came in right after. I thought he was right after. So there you go, Corban.
There you go. I'm saying, but that's not even that. Like DeJounte as the lead dog to a team that comfortably wasn't making the playoffs last year. Like I'm just saying, check it a little bit. We talked about Sturdy Chase, but like anyway, I just haven't been a big fan of the vibes emanating from DeJounte. That's all I'm saying.
When we talk about vibes, the amount of fights and the amount that Trae Young and DeJounte Murray are going to piss off so many people in this league this year, I cannot wait. It is going to be musty. Like, come playoff time, you thought Trae Young was a playoff villain. We get DeJounte and Trae in the playoff series together. I mean, based on the early returns from DeJounte this summer and what we already know about Trae, I cannot wait, because they are going to be hated around the league. I can't wait for the anonymous sources tweet where it's like, people really despise how the Hawks are going about things, or they are really despising going up against Trae and DeJounte, and that they're not as good as they think they are, and blah, 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 blah. Like, it is going to be a whole thing all year long. I'm very excited for that, because I didn't know DeJounte, like, you said, Corban, I didn't know he had this in him. I didn't know there was this other side to DeJounte, and I'm here for it.
I didn't answer your question. I apologize for that. Do the Hawks make the playoffs? I think they're in about the same position they were last year.
Well, that's okay. That brings us back. So if that's the case, then where do the Bulls fall in that? Like, are we sure they are a playoff team next year? Which sounds crazy, but because we like their roster, we like some of the guys. I don't know. Lauren's out. Lauren,
I think that the Hawks and not even just the DeJounte Murray addition, but I think some of the guys that will now have increased roles, like in terms of Bogdanović with Kevin Huerter out, Jalen Johnson with Danilo Gallinari out, Onyeka Okongwu. Like, I think that there's more room for them to just be a better overall roster. And so I really kind of look at Cleveland and Chicago kind of towards. So I have a little bit more. I'm a little higher on Atlanta than I am Chicago right now. And that obviously can change. Maybe I'll be wrong. But I just think Chicago's got some things they need to figure out.
I cannot wait for this off-air chat.
Me neither. But I'm also low on Chicago, just to answer. I think that, honestly, like, if your biggest off-season takeaway as just a person watching, the league, is that they were trying to deduct the luxury tax, like, optics or not, because let's be real, like, who would they have used that mid-level exception on that would have been a difference maker? That is the question, just seeing the other mid-levels that were signed, right? But the fact that that's the biggest takeaway from that doesn't do you any favors. Other than that, I mean, Dalen Terry, number 18 pick, looks solid, as a glue guy. Okay. That's not making any major waves. Aside from that, you sign Andre Drummond, who I didn't realize only 29. It's kind of crazy. But also think about this. He's only 17 months older than Zach LaVine, who you just re-signed, who's been battling any injury, whose best season was last year, and that was playing second fiddle to DeMar DeRozan, he was on a heater last year. He was that guy last year, but also is going to be 33 coming up. Do we really expect his defense to improve? No. Do we expect his offense to be as deadly as it was this past year? I'm not overly optimistic. Then you have the uncertain. I mean, look at DeMar, and mind you, some of this I think was him not being optimized correctly in San Antonio, because if you look at his numbers, they just dramatically were so low, barely over 20 points a game in San Antonio. But also the way he was getting shots, that sort of thing, to be the primary offensive engine, primary operating from foul line extended to the rim. I don't see it as consistent, right? Then you sign Goran Dragic, 36-year-old. You're pretty much joining a crowded Bulls backcourt, right? You still have Ayo, you still have Lonzo if he gets healthy, you still have Alex Caruso. If Goran Dragic is insurance for ball, okay, that's fine. But Dragic's kind of had an inconsistent year in Brooklyn last year. Let's not forget.
I mean, he's probably cooked. I think he is in the Udonis Haslem role at this point. He needs to just be the vibe.
Oh, wow.
He is a borderline coach.
Are we watching the Euro basket? Hello, people.
Goran Dragic is done.
It's different. We saw him in Brooklyn, Lauren. It was not great. And here's the thing. He's he said overseas, he's been quoted that he's been promised a prominent role of upwards of 20 minutes a game. The Bulls have made that promise. If you renege on that, this Dragic, noted the center in Phoenix, in Miami when things didn't go his way, look like he's going to take that just sitting down? No, that's additional drama next to whatever is already going, right? Later, yes. And then if he is playing up to 20 minutes a game and he's cooked, well, now you just have a net negative on the floor for that long, assuming a lot of ball handling duty. So, I mean, I just ran through their offseason. I don't know. I'm just not very optimistic about it. You're asking for Zach LaVine to improve on his game while still conceding somewhat to DeRozan, or DeRozan to concede to Zach LaVine. And do you really trust Zach LaVine as the number one option long term? The Bulls did by giving them that extension, but should they?
Yeah, I mean, I think that dynamic that he's talking about right there, the give and take.